Part 3. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 21. Han Jian, you went to sell? You were taken care of by a few rich women one night, and you were treated well and even bought a suit? Tisk, tisk, Gucci. You, damn, still have time to go to Glory and go shopping. Yan Qingqing grabbed Han Jian's collar with both hands and roared. It was wrong for little Yang Jia to go out. It was wrong not to go out. She didn't seem to want to go out. She looked at Han Jian and Mr. Yan curiously. He was the most gossipy person in the company. She did. Han Jian lowered his head slightly to look at Yan Qingqing, and then he was hit in the nose by the girl's iron head. Tears flowed from his eyes for a moment. Han Jian covered his nose and backed away, saying angrily, "Are you sick? I was late, you scolded me, and now you do something." Scold Mr. Yan? Little Yang Jia was stunned for a moment while listening, while Yan Qingqing's face turned pale and she gritted her teeth and said angrily, "Han Jian, I fought with you. In total, you have been teasing me all the time. Just to get revenge for me almost killing you with my car, I will satisfy you today." Yang Jia went to call the security guard and threw Han Jian outside. "I'm going to crush him to death." The Yasha Empress was cruel and ruthless, so Xiao Yang Jia turned around and ran away, and Han Jian quickly spoke. "Little Yang Jia, come back." Then he looked at Yan Qingqing and frowned. "Why am I just teasing you? If you want a plan, I will plan it for you. If you want a solution, I will give you a solution. What are you arguing about? Just give me 2 days and I can't go out for inspection? I'm in the company every day. You can get inspiration just by sitting? Why? Glory is a spring? If I don't have a diamond, can I stop your porcelain work? This project must be kept secret. Once it is imitated, we will have no chance. And you have to go there so early in the morning. Why is the general department scolding Sister Yang? Just tell me whether you can still cooperate. If you can't cooperate, I will resign and leave while you will suffer losses. If you continue to cooperate, you will ensure profits and no losses. Bring me the plan. Give you that wrench to pry open my head and show you." Yang Jia goes and gets the wrench. Han Jian turned around and ran away, not doubting that Yan Qingqing really dared to hit him on the head with a wrench. If Yan Qingqing had no courage, she would not be able to sit in this position at such a young age. Yan Qingqing winked at little Yang Jia. Xiao Yang Jia immediately closed the door tightly and stood in front of the door to stop Han Jian. Yan Qingqing sat on her boss's chair, crossed her legs and said softly, "Go make 2 cups of coffee." "I don't drink coffee." "Make tea, and then give a bonus of 200 to each person in the general department and give it to Yang Lan, but she doesn't have it. She didn't clean today. In addition, let her prepare a deed of betrayal and sign Han Jian first." Little Yang Jia didn't dare to take it as a joke. He turned around and left the office, not forgetting to close the door, and then ran all the way to the general department. This was a big gossip. Han Jian was not afraid of Mr. Yan at all. Mr. Yan was scared. After a while, tea was brought over, along with a deed of sale. Little Yang Jia went to the finance department again. Sanwu Loli had a busy day. Yan Qingqing pointed to the teapot on the coffee table and said coldly, "Tell me the outline of your plan. I'm not satisfied. This teapot will hit you on the head." The last half of the sentence was automatically blocked by Han Jian. It was enough for this girl to listen to half of what she said. She picked up the teapot and walked towards Yan Qingqing. The latter stood up suddenly when she saw this, looked at Han Jian with a pale face, and said in a trembling voice, "Han Jian, don't do this nonsense." Han Jian ignored the woman, filled her cup with a cup of hot water, and spoke calmly. "Drink some hot water when auntie comes." My plan is to choose to work in a shopping mall. I will ask Suliang to do one last inspection in the afternoon and make a decision. You will be ready to approve the letter by then. I don't have time. Having written it out, all I can say is that you try your best to get this piece of land, whether it's a life and death declaration or a deed of sale. I will never let you do a loss-making business, because I need the 400,000 to save my life. You said you may not be able to remember everything. You can inform the senior management in advance to prepare for a meeting to discuss this matter tomorrow morning. I will go to the conference room to explain my detailed plan to you. Yan Qingqing picked up the water glass on the table, no longer quarreling with Han Qian, frowned and asked. You are very confident in yourself. This matter does not need to alarm the board of directors, but there is a high-level meeting. I can't be sure if you are the person sent by my enemies to make me look embarrassed. I can't trust you. Han Qian nodded lightly. You have a point in your thinking. We are not familiar with each other. You will definitely not be able to trust me, and I can't give you any guarantee. I can take Sister Yang from the general department to the conference room with me. She has what I can do some preliminary planning. I will not be a single mother to make sacrifices in the dark, and even if I make a fool of myself, it is better than being helpless. I am the one who makes a fool of myself, and the most you can do is make an inappropriate comment, and you don't have to pay me 400,000, which is an astronomical figure to me, and I can sign an agreement with you. If I fail, you can hang my photo on the display in Glory Square and make me die socially. Han Qian has confidence in himself deep down, and he also has a sense of pride that he cannot fail. Yan Qingqing is moved. Han Qian's last words are the most effective reassurance. If he fails, he will not be able to survive in the city. Even if he is surrounded by, he couldn't survive in the city. What makes Yan Qingqing suspicious the most is, where did Han Qian get such expensive Gucci? Isn't he very short of money? Why would you spend tens of thousands of dollars to buy a Gucci suit? Seeing Yan Qingqing staring at his suit, Han Qian scratched his head in embarrassment and whispered. It costs 500 a day to rent. If I go to the mall and wear something expensive, I won't be looked down upon. Then I might meet with some people from the decoration company to show off. I swear I didn't buy it for myself. Yan Qingqing's eyes showed disdain, and then she took out a tie from the drawer and threw it to Han Qian. Tie it up. This tie costs more than 2,000. Originally, why should I explain to you? I'm too lazy to talk nonsense with you. I can promise you, but you can't leave the company tonight. At the same time, neither Suliang nor Yang Lan can leave, and I will keep an eye on you in the company. If you pass the meeting tomorrow morning, you can go back and rest. I will pay you a bonus of 100,000 yuan. The rest will not be given to you until your plan is sure that you will not lose money. Otherwise, if you do not pass, you have to go home too. Han Qian hesitated. There was an idiot at home who was a self-immolator. But if he didn't agree to this plan, he might be ruined or even lose his job. After a long silence, Han Qian spoke. How's the food tonight? 4 dishes and 1 soup, enough drinks, 2 packs of Chinese soft drinks. Well, prepare a bed for Sister Yang. She's getting older and it's not good for her to stay up late. Okay, why don't you tell me to prepare a bed for me? Yaksha Empress needs to rest. Han Qian, I will kill you. The moment the hot water broke out, Han Qian turned around and ran away. After he went out, he heard roars coming from the office. Han Qian was frightened for a while. All the toughness was just an act. His legs trembled when he saw Yan Qingqing. The bridesmaids are really not good people. Thank you for the reward, brother. Your support is my biggest motivation. Also, I heard that you want me to make up yesterday's chapter? What happened yesterday? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 22. When I returned to the general department, Yang Lan was handing out bonuses to everyone. Little Yang Jiamei was happily telling everyone about the ice and fire between Mr. Yan and Han Qian in the office. Just as he was getting excited, someone pinched the back of Destiny's neck. "Xiao Yang Jia, do you want me to tell Mr. Yan that you are very free?" This voice fell to little Yang Jia's ears like the call of death, and the hand on her fair neck was the sickle of death. When she slowly turned her head, tears welled up in her eyes, and she whispered aggrievedly, "Brother Qian, I was wrong, wow." Crying again? Han Qian would not be fooled this time. He smiled. Seeing that the situation was not good, Xiao Yang shouted that he was going to pee his pants, turned around and ran away. Looking at the back of Sanwu Loli, Han Qian shook his head and smiled. The people in the General Affairs Department were not much less hostile to Han Qian after receiving the bonus, but Han Qian didn't want to talk to them. He is a young master from a wealthy family, and he is a young man. He is incomparable to someone like us who is just digging for food in the dirt. Han Qian was right about this idea. Most people who come to the general department are not simple roles, most of them. He walked forward and patted Suliang on the shoulder, saying softly, "Tidy up, I'm going out soon." The latter stood up with his suit jacket and got ready. Unexpectedly, Lu Zhuolong heard these words clearly. When he heard that Han Qian was going out, he immediately grabbed Han Qian's arm and roared, "You still want to run away? Han Qian, are you here to go to work? You were late yesterday and absent from work this morning. What will you do in the afternoon? None of my deputy supervisors are as busy as you." Han Qian looked slightly embarrassed. At this time, Yang Lan also came over, frowned and looked at Han Qian and asked, "Are you going out again? With Xiao Yang?" Han Qian nodded awkwardly, lowered his head and whispered, "I need to talk about the planning case, and, Sister Yang, you may have to work overtime at the company tonight." Yang Ian's brows furrowed even more tightly, and she took a step forward again and asked softly, "What about the planning project? Don't tell me that your planning project has been completed. It doesn't matter if you work overtime all night. It's just that Bai Bei is at home alone. I'll do it. Lan Lan, you go home and I'll work overtime for you." As long as he can seize the opportunity, Lu Zhuolong will never let it go. This guy is extremely attentive and diligent. Yang Lan was slightly moved and said again, "Did Mr. Yan make the decision? Deputy Supervisor Lu?" Han Qian shook his head and said seriously, "No, the purpose of you staying here to work overtime tonight is to cooperate with Mr. Yan. Watch me and stop running away. You have to attend a high-level meeting tomorrow morning. I have something to tell you tonight, Deputy Director Lu, a bit small." Lu Zhuolong didn't listen at first. When he heard the last three words, he almost smashed the chair and killed Han Qian. Why did this little bastard say everything outside? Also, Lan Lan smelled so good. Lu Zhuolong leaned closer to Yang Lan. Yang Lan kept leaning back and dodging, looking at Han Qian and frowning. "Since it was given by Mr. Yan, don't worry, you too. I will go with you." At this time, Suliang stretched out his hand to catch Deputy Director Liu's big head and said with a smile, "Brother Lu is having a stiff neck? Look where you've squeezed Sister Yang." The general department burst into laughter. Lu Zhuolong blushed slightly and scratched his head in embarrassment. Then he said that he wanted to keep an eye on Han Qian and Suliang, but Yang Lan did not agree and asked him to stay in the general department to prepare for work. 20 minutes later, a white Volkswagen Bora slowly left the Honor Underground parking lot. Suliang originally wanted to help Yang Lan drive, but Han Qian refused. "Stop driving, Liang. You make a phone call with the manager of the largest decoration company in our city. He said that Honor Group wants to discuss cooperation with them." "Huh. We have to go back. I forgot to ask Mr. Yan for money." You need to eat, Sister Yang, please turn around and go back. Yang Lan shook his head seriously and said softly. No, I brought the money. Han Qian, please tell me what kind of planning project you are doing that will make Mr. Yan indulge you. To be honest, I am a little envious. Yang Lan, who left the general department, was dressed very urban, with a white chiffon shirt paired with a blue suit, a white one-step skirt paired with flesh-colored stockings, and her hair tied up high to reveal her fair neck. No wonder Lu Zhuolong was so flattering. Yang Lan is a beauty. If she were a few years younger, she would be over 80. Fortunately, Han Qian had lost his fondness for women. He lay half lying on the back seat and said lazily with his eyes closed. It's the land at the airport. Sister Yang, you should know that my plan is to build a shopping mall, but this shopping mall is a bit special. I need to talk to the people from the decoration company about the decoration knowledge. I will tell you the details tonight. You two are going to act in a play with me, a newcomer, in a while. I'm sorry, Sister Yang, you have to play my secretary, and Liang wants to be my assistant. Nowadays, when doing things, you are like a dog looking down on others, and a dog looking down on others. First of all, I didn't sleep all night last night, so I squinted for a while. Sister Yang, I will ask Mr. Yan to reimburse you for how much you spent. Yang Lan listened in confusion. When he asked, he found that Han Qian was already asleep. He had no choice but to ask Sul Yang. The answer he got was a high-end building materials mall. Yang Ian's eyes lit up. It seemed that it worked. He also understood that Han Qian was going to deceive people today. He took out his phone and booked a room at the Huitai Hotel. The food and drinks were limited to around 3,000 yuan. The honor group was negotiating with a decoration company, and 3,000 yuan was already a compliment to them. When Han Qian was sleeping and drooling, Sul Yang gently slapped him twice and woke him up. Sul Yang stood outside the door and smiled evilly. Mr. Han, it's time to get out of the car. Han Qian, who had just woken up, looked around confusedly. It took him a long time to regain his consciousness and found that Mr. Han had called him. He laughed and cursed and got out of the car. He asked softly if everyone had arrived. Sul Yang nodded. 4 and 2 came. Manager, a chief designer and a supervisor. At this time, Yang Lan came over, gently straightened the wrinkles on Han Qian's clothes, and took out a men's watch and handed it to Han Qian. My ex-husband's watch is always in the car, so it's better to bring it with me. Men are better at observing what the other person wears than women. Han Qian nodded and smiled. Sister Yang is still thoughtful. When the matter is over, the three of us should be able to share a good bonus. Today is also a trouble for Sister Yang. Then I will go see Bai Bei. Is it a boy? Girl, let's go. Yang Ian's expression darkened significantly when she mentioned her ex-husband and children. When Han Qian walked into the main entrance of Huitai Hotel, his temperament was instantly different from what he had outside, with a cold expression and a serious expression. In his heart, Han Qian sincerely thanked Wen Nuan. This temperament was cultivated when traveling with Wen Wen. In order not to show off his flaws and not to embarrass Wen Wen also told him a lot. The rules of smiling people have long gone. The more serious and indifferent you are, the more they will pay more attention to you. They know that you are a person who is not easy to talk to or mess with. At the same time, they cannot see your background. Facts have proved that Nuan was right. When Han Qian and the other three walked into the hotel, the lobby manager came over and said hello with a smile. Han Qian didn't even look at him. Yang Lan, who acted as secretary, softly told the other party that they were from the Glory Group. Someone should have arrived in the reserved room by now. Han Qian had a cold face all the way. When he walked into the room and saw several people from the decoration company, he showed a smile. After briefly introducing himself, Han Qian was disguised as the manager of a certain department of the honor group. He was mainly responsible for the group things to expand your business. The decorators have sharp eyes, and they have already noticed that manager Han's suit and watch are very expensive. The watch may only cost around 10,000, but not everyone can afford the Gucci suit he is wearing, and the behavior of the beautiful and dignified female secretary next to her also showed that her status in the glory group was not low, so there was no way to judge manager Han. When the food and wine were ready, Yang Lan was the first to speak, smiling broadly. I invite you all to come here. If you are delayed in work, please invite Hai Han. This is my business card. Mr. Han is busy at work. If you need anything, just call me. Han Qian's heart skipped a beat. If Sister Yang hadn't brought her business card, he wouldn't have known what he would have done. The man from the decoration company took the business card and was instantly confused when he saw the words on it. Director of the General Department of Honor Group. Yang Lan. Minister as secretary. The manager who took the business card with both hands was obviously a little nervous. He originally thought he was a steward, but now he couldn't judge the young man's identity. He pretended to be calm and took out a business card and handed it to Yang Lan. Hello, Mr. Han, and hello, Minister Yang. It is our honor for your company to cooperate with our Fenghua decoration. It is our fate to meet again. I would like to toast Mr. Han. Drink wine. When Sul Yang wanted to get up, Yang Lan had already picked up the wine glass and smiled softly. Manager Li is a little embarrassed, our manager Han is allergic to alcohol, please. Yang Lan actually played the role of secretary. After drinking that small glass of white wine, Han Qian's stomach was burning, but Yang Lan seemed to be fine. After drinking for 3 rounds, Han Qian finally spoke. Manager Li, the airport opposite the decoration city has been very unhappy with the residents of the community recently. You must have heard about this matter, right? I won't be too stubborn. Our honor will win the development rights of this land. We will develop it. There is a lot of room for cooperation between the project and your company. Mr. Han, it's up to you. Okay, now I have some friends who want to renovate several houses in Hejian Palace. They hired some well-known designers to design them. They are very satisfied with the renderings. However, there was a problem when purchasing the materials. Just talk about these floor tiles. It is difficult to buy some favorite floor tiles in a small city like ours, and the price cannot satisfy my friends. It is too cheap. If someone asks, I would be embarrassed to answer. Manager Li should also understand this question, right? Mr. Han, you have finally said what I feel in my heart. Our designers at Fenghua Decoration can be ranked among the best in the entire province. The reason is that in terms of poor materials, we decoration companies will cooperate with famous building materials manufacturers. We recommend customers, get rebates or the price will be lower when we use it, but the taste of customers has been improving in recent years. Many products of our city's building materials merchants cannot satisfy customers. We are cooperating with building materials merchants in other cities. The price cannot be kept down, and the round-trip fare is not cheap. The most important thing is that we can't take customers to see it. We only do it once or twice. Customers who encounter trouble go there 3 or 5 times. It's not that customers are afraid of trouble. We are here, we can't afford the manual delay. What Manager Li said makes sense. I asked people to investigate the market. High-end and expensive products cannot be entered, and low-end products cannot be sold. We have seen the products in the decoration city, and most of them are products and prices that meet the needs of middle and lower customers. If a high-end brand moves into the decoration city, it will not improve the taste of the decoration city. On the contrary, it will not ship because of the high price. As for the building materials market in the outer ring, let alone the 3 no products made by local carpenters, not you are right to say that I look down on carpenters, but I admire craftsmen very much. We are businessmen and we have to consider our customers. Mr. Han is simply our close friend. Manager Lee was partly showing his goodwill, he felt what Mr. Han meant, and the other half really spoke to his heart. Manager Lee picked up the wine glass, and Yang Lan quickly stood up. This is already the fourth cup, already more than half a caddy. Hey, everyone, please vote after 2 o'clock. If you want to be recommended and don't run naked, if you can get a reward, I'm too embarrassed to ask for it. Shy, there is another chapter in the afternoon. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 23. We at Honor are preparing to build a high-end brand building materials mall, targeting the current vacancy in the market, so that our decoration company does not need to ask grandpa and grandma to go to other cities to find building materials suppliers. We at Glory only provide shopping malls and properties, and we will review the brand and strive to build the most high-end building materials mall. We also hope to cooperate with Fenghua Decoration. The mall will tell the building materials merchants who move in that our first cooperation is Fenghua Decoration. When the mall is being built, the display screen outside the Honor Group will be given to you. The company's 15-second advertisement lasts from the foundation to the end. After the mall is completed, the advertising position in the middle of the main entrance will be reserved for your company for 3 years without any fees. Assistant Su, show the renderings to Manager Li. At this moment, Suliang had already taken out a relatively rough rendering from his bag. Fenghua's chief designer was stunned when he saw this rendering. Is this also called a drawing? Han Qian smiled when he saw this. Our company's design department is definitely not comparable to yours, and this is just a sketch. I may ask your company to help with the specific design. Just calculate the cost normally. I will try my best to give the design rights to Fenghua. This is the original intention and purpose of meeting you today. Of course, the early publicity also showed off the influence of your company. Secretary Yang, did you bring the contract? Han Qian pressed forward step by step, and finally used a contract to express his sincerity, but where was the contract? Yang Lan was a little confused about what Han Qian meant, so he could only bite the bullet and reply. Mr. Han, there are several other companies that are contacting us. We just made a call. In addition, Manager Lee is already drunk. We should wait until the construction of the shopping mall starts to sign the contract. Okay, in that case, we still have things to do. Everyone, has Secretary Yang bought the deal? I bought it, Mr. Han. Han Qian stood up and nodded to several people with a smile. The three of them did not touch the food on the table. It doesn't matter whether Fenghua people agree or not. They are of no use to Han Qian. He already knows the answer he wants to know, so there is no need to waste more time. Yang Lan was already a little confused when he went downstairs and walked out of Wei Tai Damon squatted in the flower bed and began to vomit. No one can bear this small pound of white wine, and he hasn't eaten anything yet. He helped Yang Lan get into the car, and Han Qian frowned while driving. Liang we may not be able to eat for a while. I have a baby at home that is waiting to be fed. I will go home and cook the meal. It will only take about 20 minutes. You can order 2 takeaways to be delivered to the company. I haven't eaten anything for a whole day and a night. Okay. Come on down and I'll drive. Where is your home? Landscape Dragon City. Han Qian felt so tired, but there was a perverted joy deep in his heart. He enjoyed the fatigue and busyness brought by this kind of work. The elevator was not repaired yet, so he climbed to the 11th floor, took off his suit, put on an apron, and took out the phone. Makes a warm call. Hey, Han Qian. Nuan seemed to be sleeping, and his voice was very lazy and weak. Han Qian was busy chopping vegetables and whispered. I was caught absenteeism this morning. I have to stay at the company and work overtime all night tonight. I won't be able to come back tonight. I'm making dinner for you now. I bought a thermos bucket. After I'm done, I put it under the cushion of the sofa. When you come back, remember to take it. You are not allowed to order takeout. I bought some medicine and put it on the table. Remember to take 2 pills when you come back. You are not allowed to secretly throw away the medicine. Whoever knocks on the door at night does not open it. I brought the key. I know, Han Qian, you are so long-winded. Why don't you come and enjoy your work so that you can keep an eye on me? I'm going to fight with Lin Zongheng. Don't sleep, stay refreshed, and drink some water. Ah. I know, long-winded, long-winded. Nuan let out an irritated scream and hung up the phone. Then he lay on his desk and looked at the call records on his phone. One page was all Han Qian's. He was so annoyed. He said in his heart that he was so annoyed. There was a smile on his lips. Smile. At this time, there was a loud noise outside the door. The acting president of the company returned to China. Lin Zongheng was anxious after waiting all morning without seeing Wen. After finishing his work in the afternoon, he heard that Vice President Wen had returned and hurried over, only to be blocked by his secretary at the door. Lin Zongheng was so angry that he pushed the secretary and opened the door. When he saw the lazy warmth, his throat moved involuntarily. He hadn't seen this woman in 3 years and became even more beautiful. Her youthfulness faded away and she became mature. Especially the legs on the table, almost made Lin Zongheng almost explode. The anger disappeared and a humble smile appeared. Xiao Nuan, I'm back. When Nuan slowly turned his head and glanced at Lin Zongheng, then lay on the table and looked out the window, and just made a sound. Lin Zongheng is very handsome, he is 1.85 meters tall, has a pair of long legs and a handsome face and hairstyle of a Korean oppa. His Italian custom-made suit makes him look perfect, but Nuan doesn't know why he is not interested in Lin Zongheng at all. Nothing. Unexpectedly, when he thought of those women's voices on the phone, Nuan suddenly felt sick. From leaving to now, Nuan has gradually understood one thing. She may not like Lin Zongheng, but she has only had one person of the same age around her since she was a child. They have played together since childhood, went to school together when they grew up, and graduated together. Nuan is gone. Company, he went abroad. It seems that Nuan has never said that he wants to fall in love with or marry the other person. It's the same 3 years. It's been 3 years since Lin Zongheng went abroad, and it's also been 3 years since Han Qian was with you. He could resist not smoking for 3 years, but you can't control your own desires. How could Han Qian endure anything different in the next 3 years? Lin Zongheng noticed Nuan's indifference and was slightly startled. He frowned and stepped forward, stretched out his hand to touch Nuan's shoulder, and said softly, Xiao Nuan, are you feeling uncomfortable? At the moment of contact, Nuan stood up sharply and leaned back. This action made Lin Zongheng stunned on the spot. Wen, who was used to bullying Han Qian, did not feel any discomfort. He frowned and whispered. Road. I have a cold, don't pass it on to you. Lin Zongheng smiled. Don't be afraid. Didn't you cling to me like you did when you had a cold when you were a kid? Have you taken any medicine? I know a very good doctor. Come on, pack up and take you to see him. Lin Zongheng was still stuck in the impression he had of Nuan 3 years ago. At that time, Nuan was like a follower, a submissive little daughter-in-law. As long as she did not cross the line, she would never reject Lin Zongheng's decision, but now when Hua is no longer the warmth from 3 years ago was gone, and she shook her head gently. Maybe it's because I'm freezing. I got an intravenous drip this morning. It's okay. Intravenous drip? I remember Xianyuan, what you are most afraid of is the intravenous drip, please show me quickly. Len, I don't want to do anything. His warm hands were inside his sleeves, and he wrinkled his nose and whispered. Another rejection made Lin Zongheng feel unhappy. The warmth now prevented him from getting close or taking care of her, but Lin Zongheng still smiled. Xiaonuan, we haven't seen each other for 3 years. I have a lot to say to you. I've made a reservation at a restaurant. Let's meet after get off work. Nuan put his hands in his sleeves and shook his head aggrievedly. I had a cold. Han Qian bought me medicine and kept it at home. He also cooked for me. I haven't eaten out in 3 years or ordered takeout. I'm not used to it. These words hit Lin Zongheng's head like a bolt from the blue. Han Qian. Habit. Has Han Qian become a habit in his warm heart? Lin Zongheng suppressed the anger in his heart, gritted his teeth and said in a low voice. Aren't you already divorced? When you get over your cold, brother Lin will cook for you personally. After saying that, he turned around and left. As he was going out, Wen Nuan suddenly spoke. I won't eat Western food anymore. It doesn't taste good. Lin Zongheng almost broke down the door. What kind of thing is this Han Qian? In just 3 years, Nuan can change 20 years of habits. Lin Zongheng left, and Wen Nuan took out his cell phone and called Han Qian. Han Qian, I want to eat tomato stewed beef, I want to eat braised meat, I want to eat everything, Han Qian, I'm not happy. Nuan didn't know why she was crying. Tears kept falling, but only one word came on the phone. Good. In fact, Han Qian has been waiting for Nuan's call. He knew that Lin Zongheng would go to see Nuan today. If the call could come, he would not consider himself redundant. If he did not, this house would be left to Nuan. Nuan said she wanted to eat everything, but she didn't mention her favorite things. Han Qian called the supermarket to deliver food and asked Suliang to go back to the company to wait. From the moment he returned home and walked into the kitchen until now, he has only cut one green onion. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 24. Han Qian didn't know why he felt panicked every time he heard Lin Zongheng's name. When he received his call last night, Han Qian knew that he had lost control. It was too easy to deal with Lin Zongheng with his ability. Too easy. But Han Qian believed that he had done nothing wrong. Han Qian didn't cook braised pork. He knew what Wen Nuan wanted to say and why he hesitated for a second when speaking. Isn't it just a fish? Why don't I dare to kill others? After finishing the dishes and putting them in the thermos bucket, turning off the gas, and leaving the house when everything was ready, Han Qian only had 15 yuan left in his hand, which happened to be enough to take a taxi to the company. If there is a traffic jam, Suliang will have to wait downstairs to pay for the car. After thinking about it, he went downstairs and found that Boro was still parked downstairs. Han Qian stepped forward, opened the passenger seat and got in. Suliang wrinkled his nose and whispered. I'm even hungrier. Can you cook if you have a chance? No problem. Suliang didn't ask any questions and drove back to the company. Along the way, Han Qian looked at Sister Yang lying in the back seat many times. Sister Yang was really hard-working. She could do such a thing as lying to others. She must be very good at work. Try your best, but unfortunately no one in the general department is afraid of her, and no one listens to her. He took off his watch, wiped it and put it in Yang Ian's bag. All the way back to the company, the car parked in the parking lot outside the main entrance. Han Qian frowned and looked at a red BMW parked diagonally in the parking space, while Suliang sighed. I'll go to the front desk to get takeout. Can we eat outside the car? Han Qian nodded. The car belonged to Yang Lan. Neither of them wanted to get it dirty. Sul Yang spoke when Han Qian was about to help Yang Lan get out of the car. Let Sister Yang sleep first. If Lu Data doesn't work hard with you, my life will be in vain. Lu Data used to be from other cities. He met Sister Yang when the company went to study abroad a few times, and then we came all the way. When I started working at Glory, my children were in junior high school, and I was always thinking about hooking up with Sister Yang every day, which made me sick to watch. Sul Yang left. Han Qian smiled at this. Men also gossip. Taking off his coat and putting it on Sister Yang, Han Qian had no distracting thoughts in his heart. He had no space in his heart to think about these messy things. He just hoped that Sister Yang would not catch a cold. 2 boxes of lunch, 1 meat, and 2 vegetarian. I asked for 2 more boxes of rice, 2 bottles of mineral water, and a fruit salad. This was prepared for Sister Yang when she woke up. Sul Yang was actually much better at taking care of women than Han Qian. The two of them squatted on the ground next to the car and ate, devouring their food. People passing by looked at him with disgust, frowning and wondering where these 2 starving ghosts came from. The security guard in front of the door came once. Knowing that they were employees of Glory, he asked if he wanted to go inside to eat. Han Qian shook his head. They can't leave Sister Yang here alone. After eating rice, he saved half his life. Sul Yang threw a cigarette to Han Qian, and Su Yan cost 22 yuan. Brother Qianer, don't blame me for talking too much, and don't blame me for being realistic. We haven't known each other for a long time. I just wanted to make friends when I started helping you. I was idle when I was idle. Later, it was for the money you promised me. Of course, I failed. I don't want the latter to ask you for help, but don't overestimate my abilities. I don't have much ideals in this life, as long as I don't starve to death. I'm a typical loser, but other people in the general department are different. Many people come in through connections, and the company is not as harmonious as you think. The general department only belongs to Mr. Yan, and can I not go to the high-level meeting tomorrow? Han Qian was still serious at first, but when he heard the last sentence, he turned around and cursed with a smile. Are you so cowardly? Don't even think about it. Once you get on the boat, don't even think about getting off. Don't you want 20,000 yuan? It always feels so ethereal. Earning 20,000 yuan in 2 days? It just doesn't feel real. Qianer, where did you sell it last night? Is the rich woman pretty? Sul Yang is a typical person who can only say 3 serious words, and then starts to go off topic. 2 grown men are fighting and making trouble downstairs. The pressure is cleared in an instant, which makes Yan Qingqing on the 14th floor angry. Broken, the 2 guys pointing at the stairs gritted their teeth. Why do you think they are not in a hurry to get angry? Is there still time to eat lunch, smoke, and have fun? Yang Lan woke up just before 5 o'clock. He opened his eyes and looked around vaguely. He suddenly felt a splitting headache. When he got up, his suit slipped off. Yang Lan got up and opened the car door, looking at the 2 young men squatting. Playing the game of catching a thief on the ground was childish to the extreme. The 2 of them turned their heads at the same time when they heard the sound of high heels and laughed at the same time. Sister Yang, are you awake? Sul Yang said. Thanks to Sister Yang today, no one thought that Manager Li could drink so well. Here is some vegetable grits. I will buy you a glass of milk later. Yang Lan took the salad without opening it, but squatted next to the 2 of them and watched the childish games they played. At this moment, her mind went blank and she had no thoughts. This scene was seen by Yan Qingqing again, holding the telescope in her hand, trembling slightly. Why was Yang Lan infected by them? About 20 minutes later, the Glory group got off work. The liberated employees were like children after school. The busy day was finally over. Han Qian and the other 3 also stood up. Sul Yang helped Sister Yang walk into Glory's office door. As soon as they walked up the stairs, an evil female voice suddenly came from behind them. Director Yang, don't park your car here next time. Yang Lan covered her head, turned around, forced a smile, and said repeatedly. Okay, okay, today. I don't want to hear reasons. Your general department is just idle, so stop wasting the company's resources. Han Qian turned around and looked at the woman who was speaking. She was about the same age as Yang Lan, with an upper-middle-class figure and appearance. She was dressed brightly, wearing a famous brand logo, and her makeup and hairstyle seemed to be those of Yan Qingqing. She was very coquettish. It's just that the appearance and temperament are too different. This woman was a bit unreasonable, and finally started to attack her personally, saying that if Yang Ian's driving skills were not good enough, she should not park on it, causing her to need to reverse the car to drive out. Yang Lan kept lowering his head to apologize. This time Sul Yang and Han Qian couldn't help it anymore. Sul Yang frowned and said, I parked the car. If Mr. Sun has something to do, just come to me. Mr. Sun? Or an official? Mr. Sun didn't even look at Sul Yang. He looked Yang Lan up and down, revealed a look of disdain and laughed sarcastically. Hey, does Manager Yang have a driver? The general manager of the general department who is just a freeloader is really awesome. How much salary do you give him in a month? Yang Lan lowered his head and did not speak. When Sul Yang was about to speak, Han Qian stepped forward and blocked Yang Lan, frowning. Is it related to you? Worrying doesn't get too old fast. Do you use you to dictate matters in the general department? Which department are you in? Han Qian really has a crush on Yang Lan, the kind of feeling that a younger brother has for his older sister. From the last time he was late, Yang Lan helped him lie. Today, he cried anxiously at noon. He blocked the wine at the afternoon wine table. Han Qian never thought of it. Yang Lan could be a bad person, and she was a single mother with a child. However, Han Qian didn't understand that Xiao Yangjia's status in the company should be high, so why did this woman dare to bully Yang Lan? Huh? Are you asking me? Sun Yat, General Manager of the Public Relations Department. I haven't noticed just now that Yang Lan is not only surrounded by this handsome boy Sul Yang, but there is another one here? At this time, Yang Lan suddenly tugged on Han Qian's sleeve. Han Qian reached out and took Yang Ian's hand away, looked at Sun Yat and frowned. If you can drive the car, drive it. If you can't drive it, don't drive it. What department or position you are in has nothing to do with me. You are causing trouble for Sister Yang. Don't force me to whip you. After saying that, he turned around and looked at Yang Lan. Sister Yang, your car will be parked in the parking lot outside tomorrow. If anyone is looking for trouble for you, just look for me and Sul Yang. I have nothing but a bad temper. Tisk, 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 Brother Qianer has such a bad temper. He dared to fight Mr. Yan on the first day he came to the company. Mr. Sun, I advise you not to provoke him. Xiao Yangjia suddenly appeared and came over with a strange sound. Sun Ya couldn't help but continue to make trouble when Xiao Yangjia came over. At the same time, she was also a little scared. Someone in the company really made a move with Mr. Yan a few days ago. Listen, he even grabbed a piece of Mr. Yan's hair. He left a threatening look in his eyes and walked out of the front door with a cold snort. Han Qian just frowned slightly, pressed the elevator button, and the four of them walked into the elevator. There was no one else around, Han Qian said with a frown. Sister Yang, are you afraid of her? What kind of thing is the Sun Yat? Yang Lan lowered his head and didn't reply. Little Yang Jia, who was beside him, felt unhappy seeing his sister being bullied, so he wrinkled his nose and whispered. Vice President Gao's cousin is the manager of the Public Relations Department. She has some skills and abilities. She wants to bully my sister into being honest. Han Qian, just beat her up next time. Shut up. Yang Lan raised his head and scolded little Yang Xia, then continued. Do you still think Han Qian is in trouble enough? Just avoid her from now on. There is no need to take action. Besides, you can't tell others about Han Qian and Mr. Yan's actions. How will you ask Mr. Yan to convince the public in the future? You reply, I'll go take care of Bai at home, I have to stay and work overtime today. Oh. Xiao Yangjie reluctantly took the car keys and walked out of the elevator. When Yang Lan wasn't paying attention, she turned around and gave Han Qian a yeah gesture. Han Qian smiled. When the elevator closed, he remembered what Sul Yang had said. If so, maybe glory is not as simple as imagined. It's hard to reconcile everyone's opinions. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 25. When they returned to the general department, everyone had left. Only Yan Qingqing was sitting in Han Qian's seat. Han Qian pointed to Yan Qingqing, Yang Lan, and then to the office. Yan Qingqing nodded. At this moment, Lu Zhulong suddenly exposed half of his head outside and looked at Yang Lan with a distressed expression. It's a pity that no one paid attention to him. Yang Lan went to rest. Han Qian glanced at Yan Qingqing, who was sitting in his seat, then walked behind Sul Yang and whispered that he had to make some copywriting records. Just write down the copywriting in general, mainly the drawings. Can you put them in to elaborate more clearly? Lu Zhulong also sat next to Sul Yang and joined in the fun. At this time, Han Qian turned around and looked at Yan Qingqing. Mr. Yan, will the demolition money be paid by the Yamanmen or by us? Yan Qingqing frowned and said softly. They say it's only land money. I'll call to find out the details tomorrow morning, but I heard that the residents will be moved to a community under development. I don't know the details. Han Qian, how much have you calculated without losing money? If nothing unexpected happens, it will be a sure profit if it is reduced to less than 6 million, and the funds will be withdrawn very quickly. There will definitely be no time to write the specific copy. Is it okay for me to dictate it at the high-level meeting tomorrow? I'll make a phone call. After saying that, Han Qian walked out of the general department, ignoring Yan Qingqing's cannibalistic gaze. He walked to the corner and took out his mobile phone to dial Wen Nuan. Wen was already home and seemed to be eating. He said he was much better and the medicine could help. Can't stop eating. The answer is definitely no. I persuade her nicely and ask her to call her mother and tell her that everything is fine. Give her a warm voice. After hanging up the phone, Nuan dialed the number marked Mom. After getting through, she narrowed her eyes and spoke sweetly. Mom, what are you doing? Han Qian went to work overtime. I'm so bored at home alone. I'll give you a call, he. If Li Jinhe were here, he would definitely gnash his teeth and scold Wen Nuan for being a white-eyed wolf. Qian's mother smiled happily while holding her cell phone, and said softly. Xiao Nuan, Han Qian worked overtime and left you at home by yourself? Did he cook for you? Are you hungry? I did it. Mom, I have a cold. Have you caught a cold? Have you taken any medicine? Han Qian abandoned you at home because you were sick? Old Han, take care of your son and call Xiao Qian immediately. He can't tell whether work is more important or his wife is more important. No, Mom, don't get excited. Han Qian accompanied me to get the injection yesterday. I just miss you. Mom, I want to eat the dumplings you made. Want to eat dumplings? Mom will make them right now and put them in the refrigerator to freeze in the evening. Let the shuttle bus take them to you tomorrow morning. You can cook them if you want to eat them then. Listening to her mother-in-law's hurried footsteps on the phone, Wen Nuan couldn't hold it back. She covered her mouth and tears fell down. She really liked her mother-in-law. Li Jinhee was very kind to her, but he only met her requirements financially and did not do anything else. She wanted to go find Lao Wen, but now she just wanted to eat dumplings, and her mother-in-law had to go to work, so she had already thought of taking a shuttle bus over. "Mom, can I go back and celebrate the new year with you?" The warm voice trembled slightly, and the person on the other end of the phone was silent for a few seconds, as if he hadn't come back to his senses. Then the joyful voice of Qian's mother came. "Old Han, Xiao Nuan is coming back for the new year. I have to think about it. I have to think about it. Xiao Nuan likes to eat crabs. Go buy some and keep them until Xiao Nuan comes back." "Xiao Nuan. You can't make your mother happy. You told me last year none came." Nuan couldn't control his emotions anymore, tears kept falling, and he nodded vigorously. "Mom, I will go back in my childhood to be with you. Mom, please pay attention to your health. I'm going to take medicine." She said she was hanging up the phone. Listening to the greetings coming from the phone, Nuan was really reluctant to hang up. Her mother-in-law and daughter-in-law chatted for half an hour, and they didn't hang up until Nuan's cell phone prompted to shut down. Nuan sat on the sofa crying and laughing at the same time. People are fragile when they are sick, including Wen Nuan, who is a strong woman in the company. When she is sick, she is the only one at home. Listening to her mother-in-law's concern and joy when she heard that she is going back to celebrate the new year is really warm. Move. Her mother-in-law didn't know what to say about her warmth. She only knew that when she went back to celebrate the new year for the first time, her father-in-law started burning the Kong in Han Qian's bungalow before dawn. He was worried that she would be cold and the crowing rooster would be killed. When Nuan woke up and had breakfast, her mother-in-law would hold her hand and talk about the past and Han Qian's scandal. At that time, Nuan would hold her mother-in-law's arm and say coquettishly that she wanted to eat this and that. He would nod with a smile on his face and tell his father-in-law to prepare. In fact, Nuan didn't know it yet, but at that time she was already used to Han Qian and accepted her mother-in-law and father-in-law with an open heart. After charging his phone, Nuan sent Han Qian a text message. "Don't tell your parents that we are divorced." Han Qian looked at the text message with a confused look on his face. Why did Nuan suddenly send this text message? The next second his phone rang. After he answered the call, he was scolded by the old man. Han Qian slumped on the chair helplessly. Let Wen Nuan tell Li Jinhee not to worry. Why did she call her mother? Han Qian only remembered what the old man said, "Little bastard, you are waiting to go home." The old man is a person who does not make promises easily. As long as he said these words, Han Qian never escaped once. It was really a beating. This prodigal bitch is thinking of snitching on herself even when she's sick. Then Han Qian called his mother-in-law. The mother-in-law seemed to be training Lao Wen at home about secretly drinking, and told Han Qian not to spoil the little white-eyed wolf too much. Hearing Lao Wen say that he was not allowed to bully his daughter, Li Jinhee's roar penetrated Han Qian's eardrums. "Bullying your daughter? Are you talking human language, old Wen? What kind of child is Xiao Qian? You don't know? You don't know that Wen Nuan just has a cold. Han Qian stayed with him in the hospital all night. It's you who can stay up all night as a father. How can a mother like me not sleep with my daughter? Han Qian, don't listen to your father. How can a husband and wife get along without quarreling?" "Huh? Li Jinhee, what you said is wrong. You have been killing me unilaterally for 30 years. Do you really think that I am gentle and have no temper? Practice. It's time for you to play cards." Han Qian hung up the phone silently. His mother-in-law's temperament would probably make Yan Qingqing docile. She really knows how to take action. He slumped down on the chair helplessly and took a book to cover his face. He was still thinking about whether the old man would forget the promise he made during the new year, forget the best, and the more upset he became, the more Han Qian was about to explode. I'm going to bed. Call me tomorrow morning. Then, under a few stunned glances, Han Qian put his legs on a chair and was about to go to sleep. The corners of Suliang's eyes twitched slightly. Is he really not in a hurry? Yan Qingqing's eyes almost burst out with flames, and she gritted her teeth and said with trembling words. Lu Zhuolong, go to the security room and tell them to turn off the monitoring of the general department. I can't be angry, the ancestor I recruited, I allowed him to come to work in glory. It's your own fault, it's your own fault. Lu Zhuolong had a cold sweat on his face. Recommendation votes, how can I thank you guys for the rewards? How about I torture you a little more heart-wrenchingly? Don't forget to vote. That thing doesn't give birth to babies. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 26. At 11 o'clock in the middle of the night, Yang Lan woke up. When she walked out of the office, she saw Mr. Yan sitting behind Suliang frowning at the planning project. He was a little embarrassed. He walked forward and whispered. Mr. Yan, Suliang told me, drank a pound of liquor? This is 4,000, it should be enough, right? Yan Qingqing handed the 4,000 yuan on the table to Yang Lan without turning her head. Lu Zhuolong went out to get it at night. She knew that the total cost of the meal was a little more than 3,000, and the additional several hundred yuan was reward Yang Lan for her efforts in the company. Yang Lan didn't reach out to take it. Yan Qingqing threw it on the table and said calmly. You will be bullied wherever you go, and you will be made things difficult when you go to the finance department if you are soft and naughty. The extra money will be treated as New Year's money for Bai as an aunt in advance. You and sister Yang Jia are both giving it to me. You should be rewarded for your work. It's not easy for you to make money, and I can't bear to fine you. I can't control myself when I get angry. I won't apologize. I understand you, and I hope you can tolerate me. Be humble. It's not understanding but humility. Yan Qingqing used the word in a very essential way. He was not forcing them to accept it as the general manager, but speaking as a young man. Yang Lan took a deep breath, took the money and prepared to count to 5. The money was given to Suliang and Han Qian. Suliang shook his head at Yang Lan with sharp eyes. Yang Lan sighed again. When he turned to get the chair, he found Han Qian sleeping soundly not far away. Yang Ian's eyes were slightly twitching. Some twitching, this. He walked forward and gently shook Han Qian's shoulders, saying softly. Han Qian. Han Qian. Director Yang, please ignore him. What do you want to eat? There will only be takeout for now. When things are over tomorrow, regardless of success or failure, I will invite you to dinner. If it succeeds, Han Qian will be there. If it fails, he will be in my trunk. As soon as Lu Zhuolong said this, the pen in his hand fell to the ground. Yang Lan looked slightly embarrassed and whispered. Mr. Yan, not hungry. If you're not hungry, these two grown men are still hungry. Deputy Director Lu, you know the people in the general department. 4 portions are enough. Lu Zhuolong nodded, and then asked doubtfully. Mr. Yan doesn't want to eat? Yang Lan strode forward and slapped Lu Zhuolong on the shoulder. Didn't you see that Yan was always angry with Han Qian? Ordered for 5 people. The food was delivered by the security guard downstairs. Yan Qingqing threw the 2 bottles of takeaway drinks to the young security guard. Han Qian woke up as soon as the hot stir-fry was opened. He shamelessly dragged his chair forward. He reached for the lunch box, then quickly pulled his hand back the next second. inserting a sharp chopstick into the lid of the lunchbox. Han Qian was so frightened that he broke into a cold sweat. Yan Qingqing stared at Han Qian coldly. "You are sleeping while we are busy? Do you still have the nerve to eat? Mr. Yan, please calm down. Han Qian, please stop staring. Eat, eat. Don't go back to sleep after eating." Yang Lan opened his mouth to smooth things over, and Yan Qingqing snorted coldly. They were very quiet while eating. This was also the first time they had eaten at the same table as Mr. Yan. Yang Lan had not eaten for almost 10 hours and was already hungry. Suliang, after a busy night, a box of rice was eaten quickly. Han Qian gave the other half of the rice to Suliang, then looked at Yan Qingqing, who had already put down the lunch box, and said softly, "Mr. Yan, have you finished eating?" "Blind." "Oh. Then I'll eat it." Without even thinking about it, Han Qian took Yan Qingqing's lunch box under the astonished gazes of the four people, and put the other half of the untouched rice into his own lunch box. Yang Lan was shocked, Lu Zhulong's eyes widened, and Suliang he looked at Han Qian with admiration. No matter how calm Yan Qingqing was, she felt slightly unnatural. This. Han Qian didn't take it to heart. He was really hungry. Besides, Yan Qingqing didn't touch half of it. She picked up some food and slid her chair to Suliang's computer. Looking at the renderings being rendered, Han Qian ate. He took a mouthful of rice and mumbled. "It's almost the same as I imagined. You don't need to touch this one. Remember not to leave any windows during the outdoor scene. The rendering is just a thing to increase the convincingness. It's not very important. You can hand this to Brother Lu later. Write down what I told you, and by the way, mark the nearby bus stops and the like." Suliang nodded, and Han Qian continued. "Sister Yang may want to trouble you. I'm going to teach you a piece of rhetoric. Remember to memorize it. If you can't memorize it, just print it out and read it out. It may be useful, maybe not. It's probably used to persuade senior executives to attract investment." As expected, manager Li of Fenghua Decoration went back tonight and told his friends that he was going to become a building materials agent. "This stuff is done by people who are familiar with decoration. Another thing is that I don't quite understand the current rental prices of goods. How much is it, Sister Yang, please trouble you?" "Good." Yang Lan started to prepare. Suliang and Lu Zhulong also returned to the computer to prepare for his work. Lu Zhulong smiled at Han Qian. "You look unreliable. It seems like that after dinner. I want to see if I despise you." Han Qian smiled and stretched out his hand to Yan Qingqing. Yan Qingqing gritted her teeth and took out 2 packs of Chinese soft drinks in her bag and handed them to Han Qian. Then the other 3 were stunned again. Why didn't Han Qian regard Mr. Yan as his boss? "What does it look like?" Han Qian threw soft china to Lu Zhulong and smiled. "Believe me." Yan Qingqing looked at Han Qian coldly and frowned. "You ask them to do something, and what do you do? Continue to sleep." "I'm not going to sleep anymore. I can't fall asleep even if I wake up. I want to calm down my brain. All planning must be coordinated with renderings and dictation. This also avoids mistakes in writing and copywriting being caught by others. By the way, Mr. Yan, let me ask you something, is Sun Ya from the Public Relations Department very good? With some tricks, he has cultivated a group of handsome men and beauties, who are considered minor heroes of the company. If I slap them both, I'll be in so much trouble." As soon as these words came out, Yang Lan quickly spoke to stop Han Qian. Han Qian stretched out his hand to signal Sister Yang not to speak. He was looking at Yan Qingqing. Yan Qingqing frowned and said softly, "The Public Relations Department is not within the scope of my management. If you slap him twice now, Gao Fulai may punish you. If you want to vent your anger on Yang Lan, This plan is a perfect success. I am not just talking about passing it, but you will also be beaten when the time comes. I just beat her up. I don't like this coquettish woman very much. Compared to you, the little fox didn't meet Sudaji. Han Qian, do you want to fight? My sister is too lazy to talk to you now. You'd better pray that your plan will succeed and embarrass me. I will find a way to kill you. Han Qian smiled, glanced at the antique, and then smiled. 4 o'clock. Go to bed no matter whether you are finished or not. The meeting must be at 10 o'clock no matter what. I said it for Mr. Yan. Han Qian has absolute confidence in himself. Then he asked whether he wanted to wash his shirt and asked if he needed help. Suliang took off his shirt and threw it to Han Qian. Brother Qianer, remember to clean up. This is my first time for a high-level meeting. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 27. Han Qian, who was rubbing his shirt in the sink, murmured how nice it would be to have soap. As soon as he finished speaking, a piece of soap was placed beside him. He turned to look at Yan Qingqing, who walked into the men's room. Han Qian frowned. This place isn't quite suitable for Mr. Yan, is it? Yan Qingqing ignored Han Qian's question and sighed with a melancholy look on her face. Han Qian, how confident are you that your plan can make a profit without losing money? Han Qian shook the water on his hand and was about to get the cigarettes in his pocket when Yan Qingqing suddenly stepped forward and took out cigarettes from Han Qian's coat hanging on the door, took out 2 and lit them in his mouth. One of them was handed to Han Qian, who frowned and smiled. He thinks that Yan Qingqing is afraid of trouble, and Yan Qingqing just thinks it is inconvenient for him. Pure white as paper. Han Qian took a puff of cigarette and smiled. If we can successfully pass the planning case, we will definitely make a profit, and it will be paid back in 2 to 3 years. The rest is profit, Mr. Yan. I owe a lot of money, and I have to pay back the money. 400,000 is right for me. It's very important, very important. Don't blame me for asking too high a price. If this land is not managed well, the loss will not be as simple as 400,000 yuan. I hope you won't disappoint me in the meeting tomorrow morning. Gucci is too old-fashioned. I prefer leave when your plan is on track and I find that you won't lose money. I will give you a set. Mr. Yan doesn't like Gucci. Extremely annoying. Like LV. Single love. Yan Qingqing left, and Han Qian stood looking at the Gucci jacket hanging on the toilet door, muttering in his heart. When Nuan liked Gucci and hated LV the most. Thinking of this, Han Qian slapped himself. Damn it, what are you thinking? Aren't they all clothes? Do you, Han Qian, really want it? But it seems that Yan Qingqing's clothes are not burdensome. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Yang Lan walked in front with her head held high in a small blue suit. A pair of high heels made a crisp sound. Behind her were Han Qian with short hair in a gray suit and Suliang with long hair in a black suit. 2 handsome clerks and their minister walked to the large conference room on the 13th floor. The faces of the 3 people were serious, the women were beautiful, the men were handsome, and there was no shortage of handsome men and beauties in the glory. However, the aura of the 3 people had already shocked the staff of other departments. Some people whispered about how Mr. Yang of the general department seemed to be a different person today. Some people also talked about when the 2 handsome guys behind them who were colder than the bodyguards came to the company and why they had never seen them before. Yan Qingqing was already sitting in the general manager's seat in the conference room, and all the company's top executives were present. Yan Qingqing was slightly nervous. She didn't have enough confidence to face these old fritters, and it was still a very risky project. Next to Yan Qingqing is a man who is about 35 or 60 years old. He is wearing a hand-tailored black suit that looks very expensive. The Vacheron Constantine on his wrist shows his worth. Gao Xingzi, Vice President of Honor Group. He is also the only character in the Glory group who can compete with Yan Qingqing. Yan Qingqing changed into formal clothes today, but her long burgundy hair was still quite eye-catching. She took a deep breath and knocked on the table. Since the managers of all departments have arrived, the meeting will begin now. Without further ado, I think you have all heard about the land at the airport. The Yamanmen means glory, enjoyment, and starlight. Choose one of the four Yunhong groups to do it. Now we have accurate news that Chang Xiang's Wen family and Lin family have used their connections to take over this hot potato, while Xinggui and Yunhong are new companies. The Yamanmen will not embarrass rookies, and now only the wealthy honor group is left. I had a phone call with several directors. This project was determined to be done by honor as early as a month ago. You should have heard it. If you hear the news, what do you think of this piece of land? Songjing from the Human Resources Department lowered her head slightly, and Sun Ya from the Public Relations Department shrugged and spoke. Mr. Yan, not a month ago, but a long time ago, I heard that this project was going to be on honor's side. At that time, I wanted to go over and communicate with the people at the Yamanmen, but I was prevaricated and declined. Although I didn't understand investment, but this land will fail no matter how you do it. Yan Qingqing nodded and turned her gaze to the director of the investment department. The middle-aged uncle glanced at the information in his hand and frowned before replying. Mr. Yan, the location is indeed good. Buses number 3, 18, and 22 all have stop signs. It is a 10-minute walk from the passenger terminal. Across the road is Decoration City and Commodity City. A 20-minute walk is RT Mart and Fortune Street. Wait, but all the landmark buildings are on the south side, and we are on the north side of the road. Behind us is the military airport, where pilots are trained. A few years ago, the airport was planning to change its location, but the Yamanmen didn't seem to agree. Now the airport it is marked that they will not be moved, and all buildings are required not to hinder their flight training. The Commodity City and Decoration City are only 2 floors, and the Ministry of Investment does not recommend investment. Then the people from the risk department continued. Mr. Yan, we have evaluated the price of this land. The location is very good, the price is cheap, and the development potential is very low. Nowadays, the surrounding communities are all high-rise buildings, and even if it is soundproofed, you can still hear the plane clearly when it takes off at night. It is clear, and it is impossible to build high-rise buildings. All conditions are not met to build a community. The probability of losing money is 80%. Opposite the construction mall is a Commodity City, RT Mart, and Fortune Street. They are all old shopping malls with fixed customer sources. And it is only a 10-minute drive from the city center. The loss rate of building a shopping mall is more than 70%. As for the playground and golf course, the area is too small, and the loss is 100%. I forgot one thing, it is 2 kilometers away. Even if it is the second people's hospital, it is impossible to build a hospital, and the height will exceed the standard. The head of the planning department lowered his head and never dared to raise his head to look at Yan Qingqing. Of course, Yan Qingqing had already given up on him and turned to look at Gao Xing'ai with a wry smile. Mr. Gao may have a way to transfer this land to other companies, or is there any other way? Gao Xing'ai's face was plain, not only that, but he also smiled softly. Mr. Yan, the board of directors should have already used all the connections that can be used, and tomorrow is the day of bidding. I have no choice. If it doesn't work, I will accompany Mr. Yan to the board of directors to admit his mistake. Ah! Gao Xingchen was sneering in his heart. He had secretly asked someone to take over this piece of land, just to cause trouble for Yan Qingqing and let the board of directors see that she was not capable of sitting in the position of general manager, just a little girl. In fact, there is no use in bidding tomorrow or not. This land is now glorious, just waiting for a formal payment to the Yamen gate. Yan Qingqing frowned and sighed with a wry smile. Then let's talk about this. After the bidding is over tomorrow, hey. Vice President Gao, you may not know that the bidding time has been changed, not tomorrow, but tonight, Vice President Gao together. Mr. Yan, just go. As a Vice President, I don't want to go over there and be an eyesore to Mr. Yan. Meeting dismissed. Yan Qingqing stood up and walked out of the meeting, shaking her head slightly at the three people outside the door. Director Yang will give you a day off, as will Sul Yang, and Han Qian will stay. The three people who had been prepared were suddenly stunned. Han Qian became anxious on the spot. He stepped forward and stopped in front of Yan Qingqing, frowning and saying coldly, "You fool me." Yan Qingqing replied coldly, "I don't have the time or thought to go to my office." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 28. The preparations were suddenly cancelled. Han Qian doesn't care about planning or not, he cares about money. From last night, Yan Qingqing didn't look like she wanted to cancel suddenly. All the way into Yan Qingqing's office, Han Qian sat down on the sofa and frowned angrily. "You stayed up all night and worked so hard and suddenly cancelled it? Mr. Yan, even if you change your mind, you still have to give us a reason and treat us like fools." Yan Qingqing frowned and glared at Han Qian, picked up the teapot and made tea and placed it in front of Han Qian, and then told Yang Jie to keep an eye on what was happening outside the door. This move made Han Qian slightly stunned, then he lowered his head and whispered, "In trouble?" Yan Qingqing squatted in front of the coffee table opposite Han Qian, frowned, took 2 cups of tea, and whispered, "It's not really a trouble. Your plan hasn't been cancelled. It's just cancelled your opportunity to reveal the news. I've been running to the general department these days, and I worked overtime all night last night. People have already noticed the clues about this. There are too many people in the company who want me to step down. Now we know that this land will fall to glory. If I fail, I will pack up and leave to become a canary. If I succeed, I can continue to stay in the company. Han Qian, do you think it would be useful for you to change to a general manager, or would I, Yan Qingqing, be able to benefit you?" Han Qian scratched his head and Yan Qingqing continued. "When I got home this morning, I received a call from the yeomanman. There will be a party between the yeomanmen and businessmen tonight. The bidding will also be held at this party. It was advanced. I didn't tell the senior management what meeting was going to be held in the morning. They have indeed prepared the information, especially the people from the project department and investment department, who seem to be waiting for me, and Sun Ya from the public relations department also said that they have been in contact with the yeomanmen for a long time." Han Qian scratched his head again and said doubtfully, "That's not right. Chang Xiang just made sure not long ago that it would not fall on them, and they also used their connections. Do you mean to say that it was decided a long time ago, or that you, Glory, took care of this on your own? The potato was picked up, but you didn't know, so that's why the yeomanman gave the green light to Chang Xiang." "Yes, if we let them know about the plan today, we will definitely let the news out. Even if we get the land, we will lose money. Now I am thinking about you. If your plan is spread, the land will be if the price increases, you can give up Glory, but you won't get a penny. How will you explain it to Yang Lan and Sul Yang? Don't think that I, Yan Qingqing, can only curse people. You are short of money. I need to let those who question me know. Shut up, so you understand now. You think you will trust me after you take over the land? You are from my General Affairs Department. I saw you and Sul Yang squatting on the floor eating lunch, and Yang Lan drank a pound of liquor. Why don't you believe me? You are working hard, and I still doubt you. I don't know if you are betting, but I am betting. I bet you that Han Qian will not let Yan Qingqing, who is sincere, lose. I feel like you're confessing your love to me. Believe it or not, I will smash you bastard to death with a teapot. Han Qian raised his eyebrows and chewed Yan Qingqing's words over and over again. What she said made sense. She also gave time and promised that she would find the land. It would be determined tonight. Han Qian would still think that he was being fooled. If he couldn't get the whole piece of land, he wouldn't get a penny, but it didn't seem to be a loss. Yan Qingqing didn't even know what the specific plan was now. This is Han Qian's defense. Now that Yan Qingqing expresses sincerity, Han Qian is struggling to believe it or not. I want a deposit. I promised Suliang and Yang Lan that I would give them money for their hard work today. If you give it to me, I will continue to trust you. Yan Qingqing was also very decisive. She turned back to her desk and took out a paper bag from the drawer. Han Qian sat on the sofa and looked at Yan Qingqing's actions with envy. It would be great if he also had this day. Yan Qingqing took out 2 wads of money and returned to the coffee table. She continued to squat in the same position and looked at Han Qian and said calmly, 20,000, I still need you 380,000 after planning. If you fail, this 20,000 is your hard-earned money. Han Qian, I said, I want to continue to sit in this position. As long as I sit in this position, you won't be short of these hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know what I mean? If you don't believe me, you can go to the party with me tonight, I just happen to be short of a male companion. No, go home and cook. Han Qian took the money and turned around and left without leaving any promise to Yan Qingqing. Xiao Yangjie looked at Han Qian with a gossipy face. Han Qian told Yang Jie to call Yang Lan and ask Yang Lan not to go home in a hurry, but to wait for her downstairs while taking the money. He took out his cell phone and dialed Suliang's number. At the main entrance of the Glory Group, Han Qian saw the two of them and threw a stack to Suliang. The latter smiled and put it in his pocket without caring about the remaining portion. However, Yang Lan frowned and asked Han Qian what happened. What's going on? Han Qian told Yang Lan that he might have to wait until tomorrow's high-level meeting. Yang Lan did not accept the money. After taking the money, he put the cash in Han Qian's pocket and said softly, Sister, you are doing what you are expected to do, and you have worked very hard. I can't ask for this money. Han Qian insisted on refusing. No, just because you helped me drink a pound of liquor yesterday, Sister Yang, you have to accept the money. It's not much more than 10,000 yuan. Just think of it as my New Year's money for Baibei. If you don't accept it, I can give it to Xiao Yangjie. She collects it for you. In this case, I will collect it tomorrow after the plan is approved, okay? Yang Ian's very insistent attitude made Suliang a little embarrassed. Just as he was about to take out his pocket, Han Qian kicked him in the butt and cursed him to get out. After confirming with Yang Lan that he would collect the money tomorrow, he felt relieved and turned around to work on the elevator. After going to the 14th floor, he didn't go to Mr. Yan's office. He sat outside and chatted with Yang Jie. He really didn't want to go back to the general department. Of course, Han Qian bought the snacks, and neither of them went downstairs at noon. Xiao Yangjie knew that Han Qian was hiding from Lu Zhulong from the general department. She was busy with her business, while Han Qian continued to sleep. He slept until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. He was often awakened by his cell phone, and Han Qian answered the call in a daze. What's wrong? Do you want to order again? Han Qian, I may go to the party prepared by the Yamanman tonight. I will come home a little later. If you don't want to cook, I will go back and bring it to you. Listening to the warm voice, Han Qian suddenly sat up and frowned. That party at Metro Park? Yeah, I actually don't want to go. I want Lao Wen to go. He said he wants me to exercise. What do you want to eat? Sister will buy it for you. It's warm inside. I might go there at night. There was silence on the other side, and then Nuan let out a scream and said angrily. Han Qian, tell me, do you work at Glory? Han Qian. You and I are at odds with each other. You will go home at night. Nuan hung up the phone, and Han Qian thought of the old man's threat again. You're waiting to go home. What's the matter? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 29. When she got off work, Yan Qingqing met Han Qian outside the door. Han Qian touched his belly and whispered, "Is there anything to eat at the dinner? Help yourself. It doesn't cost money, does it? Scrooge, go drive." Yan Qingqing has an advantage. Talking to him saves time and effort, and she is a woman who doesn't stick to trivial matters. After driving a warm alpha clover several times, Han Qian was really not used to this large raptor. The accelerator was very shallow, and the speed would reach around 80 when he stepped on it lightly. Before getting in the car, Han Qian put the small document was thrown to Yan Qingqing for no other purpose than to be quiet along the way. But he underestimated Yan Qingqing's head. At this moment, this woman was not dressed like a mistress. She had a white floral collar shirt, a blue suit, cropped trousers with white high heels, about 4 to 5 centimeters tall, and long burgundy hair. She also combed her hair casually, and her light makeup made this woman seem like a different person. "Look, do you think I'm useful? Look at the light. Why does such a foxy woman have a mouth? When God opens a door for you, he will definitely close a window for you." Han Qian sighed softly and drove seriously. After about 10 minutes, Yan Qingqing spoke again. "Han Qian, I probably understand. You still mean to build a shopping mall, but you don't sell clothes. But you have also seen that the small commodity city and decoration city opposite have only 2-story buildings, and we are on the road. Bien, now the small commodity mall is the first choice for customers, and then they go to our T-Mart to buy some snacks and vegetables, but they will not choose to come to our mall. The direction is the opposite, and the price is not our T-Mart's rival. I know, 2 floors is too little. The renderings show a 4-story building. I did the math and found that the height should be enough. We won't have any conflicts with our T-Mart Fortune Street. I'm a novice at driving, so don't disturb me. Are you so confident? Han Qian, please give me a chance. I'll beg you, okay. The planning of the uniform world was done by me alone, and I sold it to others for money. Is this an acceptable answer? Yan Qingqing was stunned and tilted her head to look at Han Qian with doubtful eyes. The predecessor of Military World was Changxiang Department Store, which was jointly attacked by Glory Department Store and Old Department Store and was about to go bankrupt. Later, Changxiang suddenly made a big change and replaced Changxiang Department Store, changed its name to Military World, which not only saved the mall that was on the verge of closing, but also received praise from the government office. They claimed that Changxiang Group knew how to consider the people and did not seek money, and then gave the green light to Military World's application. Han Qian planned it? Yan Qingqing didn't quite believe it. At this time, Han Qian laughed to himself. Looking at the red light ahead, he took out a cigarette from his pocket and held it in his mouth, laughing at himself. 3 years ago in the fall, Changxiang's legal department seemed to be busy with a case, right? Then suddenly the case was suppressed and dropped. Do you want me to tell you the details? Snap. Yan Qingqing took out a lighter from somewhere and lit the cigarette in Han Qian's mouth. She shook her head slightly when she took the lighter back. If you don't want to know, don't tell me. I'm a madman, so I don't want to provoke another madman. A woman can't be curious about a man easily. Han Qian opened the window and took a long puff of cigarette, threw the rest out the window, stepped on the accelerator, and the raptor rushed out like a roaring beast. He thought of one thing. Nuan will go to the dinner tonight, so Lin Zongheng will appear. It's time to meet. The car parked in the parking lot at the front entrance. Han Qian opened the door and got out of the car. Suddenly, a black Mercedes-Benz sports car drew a black arc and stopped next to the Raptor. The door was opened, and when Nuan, the co-pilot, got out, wearing it was the white fairy dress that Han Qian gave her. Han Qian saw the rich worry and anger in Nuan's eyes when he looked at him. He almost bumped into Han Qian. After all, Han Qian went to glory. There were not many bright red Raptors in the whole city. The driver's door was opened, and a handsome man with slicked back hair and a face as sharp as a knife came out. He squeezed the buttons of his suit and trotted around the front of the car, asking eagerly, "Xiao Nuan." Han Qian's face turned gloomy instantly. He already knew the identity of this man from this friendly address. Lin Zongheng looked at Wen Nuan up and down, and then found Wen's eyes staring at the man in front of her with anger. Lin Zongheng said angrily immediately, "Do you have eyes? When you open the door, you don't know if there is a car. You deserve to be hit to death by a bad driver." Lin Zongheng wanted to vent his anger on Nuan. As the future chairman of Changxiang Group, how could he not understand his opponent? When Nuan knew that this red Raptor belonged to Yan Qingqing, and he, Lin Zongheng, also knew that he would not think that Han Qian was a high-level person, because Yan Qingqing did not allow anyone else to touch her car, let alone a man. Yan Qingqing, a woman with a big backer. Han Qian ignored Lin Zongheng and grinned at Wen Nuan. At this time, the passenger door of the Raptor was pushed open, and a voice full of ridicule came. "Huh? I thought who was showing off in front of our Qianer, but it turned out to be Lindagi. I'm sorry, how about a bump? Let's see if your broken Mercedes is stronger or my big red-hearted baby is stronger. Our family. Qianer." Cold sweat instantly broke down on Han Qian's forehead. He found that Nuan's eyes had changed and there was no worry. A pair of big eyes stared at Han Qian full of anger and murderous intent. Nuan bit his molars and said in a low voice, "Whose family is it?" In order to avoid conflict between Han Qian and Lin Zongheng, Wen Nuan did not mention Han Qian's name, but Yan Qingqing had already walked to Han Qian's side, took Han Qian's arm, and said with a smile, "Of course Han Qian belongs to our family, what? Vice President Wen and Han Qian know each other." Han Qian? Lin Zongheng's face was stunned, and then he thought of Wen Nuan's appearance of hurriedly getting out of the car, and then thought of the guy yelling on the phone the day before yesterday. All kinds of pictures appeared in Lin Zongheng's head, and anger rushed to his head. Was it this guy who got in first? He punched Han Qian directly in the face. Even if he could be beaten to death by this mud-legged guy, he wouldn't be in much trouble. Lin Zongheng. Seeing Lin Zongheng's hand, Nuan yelled angrily, but at this time, his fist was very close to Han Qian. Before Han Qian could recover, his fist had already landed on his face. Han Qian, who was in pain, did not hesitate and raised his hand. He put his leg on Lin Zongheng's lower abdomen. What kind of CEO is not the CEO? We all have one head and two legs, am I afraid of you? When Nuan stopped Lin Zongheng, who was about to fight back, but Yan Qingqing had already taken off her high heels and raised them high. As long as Lin Zongheng dared to step forward, she would dare to smash his head with her heels. Now Han Qian is from her company. It was also the person she needed to pay attention to now. At the same time, she also remembered that the name Han Qian had indeed been heard before. Nuan stood in front of Lin Zongheng with an evil look on his face, facing away from Han Qian, and said in a low voice, "Mr. Lin, do you still want to be laughed at? Look at where this is." But Xianyuan, this is between him and me. Lin Zongheng took a deep breath, patted the dust on his body, looked at Han Qian coldly, snorted coldly, and walked towards the main entrance of Wujing. Nuan turned around and looked at Han Qian. His right cheek was slightly swollen. Nuan glanced at it. Yan Qingqing turned and left. Han Qian's eyes were cold, and he stared at Lin Zongheng's back for a long time, unable to regain his composure. At this time, Yan Qingqing put on high heels and smiled sweetly. When I heard the word Han Qian, I felt familiar. It turned out to be the man who suddenly got married to Vice President Wen 3 years ago. This matter is not a secret in the upper-class circles. Tisk tisk tisk. My ex-husband met his old lover, it's so interesting. Your ex-wife is also very interesting. Why don't you talk to me because you're afraid that I'll guess your relationship? Tisk, 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 you're so stupid and annoying. Han Qian slowly turned his head, his face ashen, and Yan Qingqing immediately raised her hands and spoke with a somewhat aggrieved tone. Hey, hey. I've been helping you. To be honest, I both like Yan Qingqing. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 30. The people who came to the party were either the top or second in command of the company, and there were many celebrities among them. Han Qian never understood what the celebrities did. He asked Nuan, and Nuan shrugged and said he didn't know. He just knew that he had good looks and was in the upper-class circle. Eat very happily. Yan Qingqing was chatting happily with acquaintances. Han Qian stood in the corner and seemed a little out of place. Of course, some girls came over to say hello. After hearing that Han Qian was not even a basic manager, he left politely. This is not the prey they should choose. There are many handsome men, but not many are rich and handsome. The first consideration is financial strength, and then the face. One or two of them also left Han Qian's phone number. He jokingly said that we would have supper together in the evening. Han Qian was not very interested, and the other party was just on a whim. Han Qian looked at the people attending the dinner, looking for prey that he could find opportunities for. A figure appeared next to Han Qian, with a white fairy skirt and a tall figure, holding 2 glasses of champagne in hand. Lin Zongheng and I are in the same company. We can't let outsiders think that the two of us are not on good terms and can only choose one car. Yeah, I know. Han Qian took the champagne and replied softly. It was enough for Nuan to come over and explain. It was not easy for this young lady to lower her head to explain. Han Qian looked at a few people in the distance who were dressed in ordinary clothes but became the protagonists and said softly. People from the Yamanmen. First in command. This time, before Han Qian could speak, 2 people appeared in his sight. The romantic Lin Zongheng and the passionate Yan Qingqing came together. How did these 2 guys get together? Han Qian was a little worried. After walking in, he heard the 2 people teasing each other. Yan Qingqing stood beside Han Qian, and Lin Zongheng stood beside Nuan. The appearance of the 4 people can be said to be the ceiling of tonight's party, which instantly attracted everyone's attention. Some girls who had greeted Han Qian were a little annoyed. This guy must be lying. How can a small profession attract Chang Xiang and Han Qian? How many of the glory bosses took the initiative to say hello? Lin Zongheng snorted coldly. The bar is getting lower and lower. Han Qian narrowed his eyes and replied with a smile. Isn't that right? Turtles can even attend a dinner party with humans. When Nuan stopped Lin Zongheng, who was about to take action again, while Yan Qingqing gently tugged on Han Qian's sleeve to signal not to quarrel here. From knowing Han Qian to his current behavior, she did not think that Han Qian was just a talker. At this time, the top official at the Yamen gate waved to Lin Zongheng, who smiled in the distance and said softly. Han Qian, you'd better not give me a chance, I will kill you even if Xiao Nuan stops you. Han Qian ignored the big talker and sipped the champagne in the glass. Lin Zongheng left. The corner did not become quiet. He looked at Yan Qingqing up and down with warm and cold eyes, and deliberately straightened his waist. The action turned into a provocation in Yan Qingqing's eyes, and she narrowed her eyes and smiled. How old is my sister? Have you ever read any books? What medicines have you taken? I haven't read many books. I read King Wu's defeat of Zhou a few times, and I flipped through a few pages of Liu Zai. Han Qian suddenly felt that the cup in his hand was pricking his hand. He took a step forward and said that he wanted to change the cup. As a result, his arms were held down at the same time and he was pushed back and continued to lean against the wall. Yan Qingqing narrowed her eyes and smiled. Sister, I think King Zhou is very good. He feels sorry for Sudaji and dotes on him. What does the rise and fall of the world have to do with us women? That's what men should worry about. I think, just take good care of your man. Sister, you say it right. Then Mr. Yan should find a boyfriend. There are many scholars passing by. Some people and things are mine. They cannot be snatched away or taken away. Just watch them honestly. If you don't grab it, just touch it. After saying this, she stretched out her hand and pointed her green fingers on Han Qian's face under Han Qian's horrified gaze. Yan Qingqing looked at Wen Nuan with a provocative smile. I also want to thank my sister for sending him to her company. Her warm eyes were like two sharp knives, staring at Yan Qingqing's hands, but she smiled and said sarcastically. Some things get dirty when touched. They need to be washed well. They smell. Yan Qingqing was not angry at all, she covered her collar with one hand and laughed sweetly. My grassland, my horses, I can play with them as I want. He ignored Wenwen's murderous gaze and walked towards the people at the Yamen gate. The bid seemed to be about to open his mouth. When he walked about 3 meters away, Yan Qingqing suddenly turned around and smiled at Wenwen again. Sister has many horses. Yan Qingqing left with her trademark laughter. The warmth exploded. Ignoring everyone's surprised looks, he grabbed Han Qian's suit collar and dragged him to the bathroom. Han Qian also felt extremely bitter in his heart. How could a spoiled young lady like Wenwen be the opponent of the fox Yan Qingqing? Han Qian was pushed to the edge of the sink. Wen Nuan rolled up his sleeves and glared at Han Qian angrily while holding a wire brush on the edge of the sink. I was thinking of buying you a spray to wipe your face, but I won't use it now. Is the vixen's hand soft? Are you comfortable? I'll wash your face properly. Han Qian looked at the wire brush in Nuan's hand, and then at the washing powder thrown in front of him, and scratched his head, feeling embarrassed. No. Not that much. If you want to use sulfuric acid, I should do it. I wash. After washing his face, Wen Nuan had already gone to do her business. Han Qian always felt like there was a layer of paste on his face. It was all Yan Qingqing's fault. It's okay for you to provoke Wenwen. But wasn't it me who got hurt in the end? Han Qian went downstairs to smoke. While the bidding was going on, I listened to the leaders of the Yeomanmen talking about how these company groups had developed the city and how the Yeomanmen had helped them, trying to get rid of this hot potato by playing the emotional card. Several companies tentatively set prices, and Yan Qingqing suddenly raised her hand. 4 million. After saying this, he smiled at Lin Zonghong beside him. Shouldn't Mr. Lin do something great when he comes back from studying abroad? As long as Mr. Lin opens his mouth, even if it's an extra $1, I will give up this land. Lin Zonghong sneered back. Oh, you are stupid, don't think that others are stupid too. This land should be given to you, Mr. Yan. I also want to congratulate Nuan for winning this land. Congratulations, congratulations to Glory Loss. Tisk tisk tisk, thank you very much, Mr. Lin. If I hadn't known that Han Qian had a grudge against you, I would have doubted this guy's plan. Now, I'm relieved. Yan Qingqing stood up and walked to the people at the Yamen gate to discuss signing the contract. At this time, Lin Zongheng found that Wen Nuan was missing. When she searched around to no avail, she took out her mobile phone and made a call. When she heard Wen closing the car door, she replied home. In the taxi, Han Qian sat in the passenger seat and Wen Nuan sat in the back seat. Han Qian, you resign, you must resign, Yan Qingqing doesn't look like a good person. Resign and you will support me. I'll support you, no more debt. I'm afraid you'll use a wire brush. Do you rich ladies all have this habit? Snapped. Han Qian received a slap on the back of his head. Looking at your rewards and support, I feel that my update speed is not worthy of you, so today I have 3 chapters. But a little later.